Welcome to Art Supply Thursdays. Today I'll be doing something different than a usual fountain pen review. I want to talk about water brushes. I'm not a big watercolor artist, so I can't speak from a professional point of view, but I still often find myself using one, so I want to share my opinion on water brushes, which I think are always good to have on hand. Water brushes have a refillable water reservoir. I just use tap water, and I don't bother with using distilled or purified water or anything, though others may tell you that you need to do so. Water brushes are very cheap and should not cost more than a few dollars. They come with various bristle sizes for broad or more fine detail work. The main purpose I've found to use them, other than as a straight watercolor paintbrush, is to dilute a medium and create washes and gradients, blend together lines to create a solid area, and to speed up your work. Let's use them with different mediums. Paper matters in this because thin or cheap paper will bleed through or crumple with all this water being used. I've used it on good quality stationery before that's made to not bleed through with fountain pen ink, and that works fine for small accents, but you'll need actual thick watercolor paper or equivalent for a large work that uses more of the water. I carry watercolor pencils with me, which I often use to add color to calligraphy. Here I'll do a quick letter with some flourishing accents. The leaves here can be colored in with colored pencil directly, but the result is a little dull. Using the water brush makes the color more vibrant. There are a few ways to do this with different effects. You can squeeze the water brush so the tip gets wet and then brush on the tip of the pencil directly. This gets the color worked into the bristles, and then you paint. It's a bit of a gamble as to how much color is going to be in there, and so you can test it in the margin of the paper first. If something becomes too dark, watercolor pencil can be lifted out by repeatedly drawing the color from the work back into the brush and then brushing it away. But it's easier to start light and then go darker, as it is with most artwork. A second way is to use the colored pencils on the paper first, and then use the brush to spread out and even the color. You won't need much, and of course the more colored pencil you use, the darker it will be. You can even make a gradient by darkening one end and allowing the color to fade as you brush away with it with the water brush. A third way is to wet the area first with the water brush and then use the colored pencil in the water that's on the paper. You can dip the pencil into the blobbed water where you want there to be more saturated color, or you can kind of try to rub it in there and just bring out more color as you wish. I also use water brushes with fountain pens. These can be used in the same way as with watercolor pencils, although the effect is different. Since I enjoy writing, it's nice that I can keep exactly the same color because I'm just drawing ink from the pen to use with the water brush. As with before, I experiment with drawing ink from the tool itself, wetting down already covered areas, and 3, wetting an area first, and then trying to color it in or blob it down the best I can. Many mediums can be used with water brushes, markers, graphite pencil, and a lot of different paints. So I've found that these 3 approaches are good to remember and good to use. Number 1, you draw ink from the medium itself and then get the bristles saturated or, semi-saturated with the pigment. Or 2, you color it in the area on the paper with your medium, with your markers, with your pencils or paint or whatever, and then you use the brush later to wet it down and spread out the ink or even it out. Or 3, you wet the area first, make the area first wet, and then use your medium to kind of dab it or blob it, and that gives another effect. So that's my take on water brushes. You will find, if you do more research, of course, that there are many other ways to use them and many different mediums and ways that I have not even found yet that you may already know. But I just wanted to share this with you, especially with someone who doesn't use a water brush too much, and I wanted to show how versatile and fun they can be. Thanks very much. See you next Thursday for another art supply video.